Hi guys, Anastasia here from Anastasia Does Astrology. Today I'm talking to you about what it means to be a Sagittarius rising and what it means to have Jupiter as your chart ruler through different houses of your chart. I have done a video on the difference between sun, moon, and rising signs. You can find it below. I also do chart readings, and if you're not quite sure where to find your rising sign or what it means, you can go on astro.com, use another link in the description below to pull up your chart and see what your rising or your ascendant sign is. Let's dive in. Sagittarius rising people are children of Jupiter because Jupiter is the traditional ruler, and Jupiter is connected to the thighs or the legs. So as far as rising sign ruling your appearance, Sag rising people usually have really significant legs, or thighs. Kim Kardashian is the pretty much best example of that. Like, look at how much attention she gets for her butt and how much it is talked about. But usually they do have like beautiful legs. They could be like longer legs and like slender arms as well. They have strong and active body and a pleasant face. Like, a lot of times there is also a broad forehead and bright eyes. They usually look like they're having a great time. Jupiter is the planet of growth and optimism. So Sagittarian sun or moon or rising, they carry that like optimism, that positivity. You look at them and you get an idea that they're probably having a great time. They talk with their hands a lot. They might often make like, broad sweeping gestures with their hands. And they can be quite restless, I think, overall. They can be always seeking the next big thing. They're always aspiring towards something. They're very independent, and sometimes they're not so focused on marriage, or there could be situations where they get married a few times because Jupiter, once again, is the planet of like abundance. So sometimes there could be a lot of options. But some of them, of course, this depends on a lot of other placements. Some of them will value marriage. I think it's just in general, there's like a lot of love for freedom, a lot of desire for independence and like high aspirations. So they need a partner who will appreciate that, who will encourage them and not try to box them in. They are quite inspirational. They like to teach others the right way, usually in a tolerant way, not necessarily just kind of like telling you what to do. Very direct and blunt. Sometimes they may have the foot in the mouth syndrome, where they might say something that will hurt other people, but usually they just believe that honesty is the best way to go about things. And on a positive side, you will always know where you stand with them. You will know what they think about you. They're also very friendly. They're usually people who make friends quite easily and get along with lots of people. It's a mutable sign, right? It's able to adapt to different situations, different personalities. They are quite humanitarian and quite progressive, and I think very interested in exploring, like Sag, the sign that's half man, half horse, very much about exploring new ideas, new countries and cultures, and just going around the world. And they might enjoy debates. They might enjoy having like a spirited discussion and exchanging opinions, just like gathering data. Because it's a mutable sign, a lot of times there might be a certain, maybe even stubbornness about the views that they have, but being mutable, they might pick up on a new idea and then very passionately start defending this new idea, which I always think is so interesting and fascinating about Sag risings. They love to travel. They are open to people of different cultures, like I mentioned. They very friendly and really easy to get along with. So what happens if you have Jupiter in the first house or Jupiter in Sagittarius? Whenever you have the planet that rules you in your first house, you're very self-oriented, not in a selfish way, but in a way that you're like really focused on your progress. You're really focused on your personal growth. You may be kind of like, you really embody that Jupiter, and it's also Jupiter in rulership. It's a very strong placement. So you embody the teacher, and you might just be like, more than any other Sag rising, of course, dependent on other planets, like you may have Jupiter in the first house, but Saturn conjunct your ascendant, that will change things. But for the most part, you are someone who's very optimistic. You're kind of like big and jolly. There could be a danger of like being overweight or gaining weight really easily. It's a very kind of strong position for being a teacher. Even if you're not, consciously teaching in a school or university type environment, you will still like to be inspirational. You would like to guide other people with your insights. You're quite generous. You probably have really strong views and ideas and like principles, and you stick to them. You really value being honorable. I think your like principles are so strong, you would not bend them, or you would not go, compromise them for anything unless it's worth it, unless it's for the right reason. You might be quite connected to your home or quite influenced by your parents. Even if there is a challenging relationship, chances are you probably have learned a lot from your home or your mother. If you have a Jupiter in the second house or a Jupiter in Capricorn, that is Alyssa Milano and Scarlett Johansson have these placements. There's a lot of focus on your finances and your possessions, but because it's Jupiter, there might be focus on more spiritual possessions, or maybe travel. You may value accumulating books, or you may value collecting experiences, or even, I'm thinking, second house money, maybe like taking classes on understanding finances, being a good investor, anything like that. Quite naturally, you might be really good with money. You might have these like brand new ideas, interesting ideas for making money. You can make money through like traveling or teaching or working in some like travel industry type job. Yeah, definitely a good placement for being financially successful. It is, if you have Jupiter in Capricorn, there is a possibility that success comes later to you because Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Like early on, there might be, money might come in easily to you, but then maybe you can't save it. Maybe something happens where like it needs to go. If you have Jupiter in the third house or Jupiter in Aquarius, this is a placement where you are drawn to humanitarian pursuits very much. Princess Diana had this placement, and she was an advocate for a lot of social issues. She was so known for her charitable work and charitable personality. So you may have that in you as well. And also, you would communicate in a very inspirational way. There might be more of a tendency in your life to go and become a business owner. But if you do something, most likely you will be focused on having a job that helps other people, that serves humanity in some regard. You're able to be an inspirational speaker. You're probably quite lucky with living in great neighborhoods, and you may have good luck with, just like meeting interesting people. Maybe you meet teachers all the time, or like your immediate environment, there's lots of teachers. Even you may have like a sibling who's quite Jupiterian, like a Pisces or a Sagittarian, or someone who's a teacher, and most likely you have good relationships with them. Of course, any other aspect will modify that, but for the most part, you should. If you have Jupiter in the fourth house or Jupiter in Pisces, this is a placement of Jupiter being in rulership. So you would value home quite a lot. Being independent will mean a lot to you. You might look very much like your parent, one of them, your mother or your father, just like take after them. Maybe your values are highly impacted by your parents. There will be luck in real estate for the most part, and also if there are no other planets involved or no other challenging aspects to the moon or to the Jupiter or planets in the fourth house, chances are you felt very loved when you were growing up and you probably had like a happy childhood. There might be a lot of wealth in the home as well, because Jupiter does mean, you know, success. So there might be like financially successful childhood, like your parents doing really well for themselves and you benefiting through them. And one other thing, that you may live in houses that are larger than most people have. Not necessarily that you seek ginormous homes, but they might be a little bit larger. And maybe just more luck with picking houses and like finding apartments. If you have Jupiter in the fifth house or Jupiter in Aries, that's where a lot of your focus gets drawn to creative pursuits, to education, for the sake of like, you know, you would want to accumulate a lot of wisdom, a lot of knowledge for the sake of growth. Like you want to grow, you want to be successful and kind of like master different things in life. A lot of attention goes to kids. Like you will naturally find a lot of joy in hanging out with children and playing with children. You can be a great teacher. Most likely you would like to teach kids, but not necessarily. And this could be quite helpful for your love affairs as well. And maybe you're drawn to people who are ambitious and energetic and kind of Jupiterian, people who can teach you something. If you have Jupiter in the sixth house or Jupiter in Taurus, you become very work-oriented and you see success through like material pursuits. You know, having a good job, having a stable job would be important to you. You might be in a medical industry or like legal field, or do something that serves other people, like even if it's a food, say like food industry. Like you can make a wonderful health counselor because Jupiter likes to teach, right? So you would be teaching people either about like health or diet or exercise, or maybe like a legal counselor possibly too. Another placement where there could be a danger of gaining weight because you can be overindulgent. But overall, Jupiter serves as a protector of health, and technically if you get sick, you will probably recover a lot better. If you have Jupiter in the seventh house, this is Oprah Winfrey placement. This means there's a lot of focus on your relationships, and not just focus on relationships, but seeing yourself through people you associate with, kind of making decisions indirectly as a product of contact and conversation, and also quite a lot of luck in relationships. I think we all can agree that Oprah Winfrey became successful, probably not through only her own efforts, like, you know, being in the right place at the right time, meeting people, could be quite lucky, and like that's a signature of this placement. It also traditionally promises a good or happy married life. Jupiter in Gemini is in detriment, so there could be some issues there. Maybe, you know, maybe not meeting the partner right away, maybe taking some time, maybe disagreeing with their views at some point, or maybe you feel like you meet like teachers, or like you trust people easily, but they're not always trustworthy. You know, teachers specifically, but not only. You may feel at times, like on the negative, you may feel like you're very, very generous with people, but it's not always reciprocated. Overall, Jupiter in the seventh is great for meeting people who will teach you something. Even if it's not the most pleasant lesson, after meeting them, you will grow, you will improve, and you will approach life from a brand new, more serious perspective. More successful perspective too. If you have Jupiter in the eighth house or Jupiter in Cancer, this is an exalted Jupiter, which makes it extra strong, right? Like rulership is the king in his castle. Planet, when it's exalted, it's like an honored guest. So when Jupiter is in Cancer, when it's in the eighth house, you're naturally very loyal and very, you know, protective of people you love. It might be your family, it might be people you love in your life. You're drawn to esoteric, you're drawn to occult, tarot, astrology. You can make a great teacher, or you will be someone who is very nurturing. Like you can be at a job that is unpredictable, or maybe you counsel people going through, you know, sudden events. Eighth house is transformations, sudden changes in life that people go through. So you can be very kind of like a source of faith and confidence. There might be an issue at times with seeing your own wisdom, like you might project wisdom onto other people and think that they're smarter than you, while in reality you're probably, you know, calmness. You have the quality where like you calm everyone down. And you're someone who has great intuition. You're someone who will benefit quite a lot through marriage and inheritance. Great placement for financial success as well, and like other people bringing a lot of money your way. If you have Jupiter in the 9th house or Jupiter in Leo, you would want to teach. You would want to teach, you'd want to inspire, you'd want to take center stage, you'd like to be visible. It could be teaching something more spiritual, right? Like yoga, meditation. I know someone with this placement, she's a teacher. She teaches kids yoga, and she is active on social media. She likes to show her face quite a lot, so there might be some of that. You know, as a Leo, you want to be seen. Not a Leo, but like as a Jupiter in Leo, the planet that rules your chart will carry some of those like desire for recognition. And also you will be seen as highly knowledgeable, like society will see you as someone to come to for advice. There might be good luck in travel and good luck in education, and you're also probably someone who likes to study, you know, endlessly and likes to explore. You might be quite good with learning foreign languages, and you appreciate foreign cultures more than a lot of other people. If you have Jupiter in the 10th house or Jupiter in Virgo, you're very professionally oriented, and you want to be, you want to give advice at work. You want to be seen as teacher in the workplace. You seek success, but sometimes success might be to you, if you have Jupiter in Virgo, is not about how much money you make, but more about helping people and serving people. Watch out for being too sensitive to criticism, especially when young. As you get older, this will get better. But early on, there could be that tendency to like shutting off Jupiterian optimism if somebody is critiquing you. This might be a placement where like your mom kind of steps up and takes the role of your father. And maybe it becomes like really, really important in your life. But for the most part, you would want to do something for work that encourages and inspires other people. Like I said, for all Sag risings, they are quite humanitarians, right? Like they want to encourage and inspire. So you will find a lot of happiness in dealing with people and being kind of like socially minded and pursuing higher goals. If you have Jupiter in the 11th house or Jupiter in Libra, so Jupiter in the 11th is considered to be in its joy, because 11th is the house of community and Jupiter is the teacher. So, you know, if you want to inspire people, you need a large audience, and 11th provides that large audience. So Jupiter is happy there. It usually makes people quite lucky by association. They know everyone, they can connect to everyone, they can be successful with social media. Kim Kardashian, Paris Hilton are two examples of this. And like people who became famous, you know, through their exposure to like television and reality TV and like showing their face and being visible, like a lot of people have seen them and they became successful. So you have potential to reach success. And if you're ever struggling with, you know, reaching a goal, I would always advise with people who have Jupiter in the 11th house to just ask everyone you know, like reach out to people, network, connect. You're also probably quite charming and quite popular with other people. Just be careful with, you know, as always with Jupiter being too expansive and giving too much and relying on people who aren't worthy of your trust at times. If you have Jupiter in the 12th house or Jupiter in Scorpio, this is the placement of increased spirituality. There might be shyness in youth. There might be kind of like insecurity or a lot of turmoil and ups and downs when the child is growing up. And a certain like deep sensitivity, deep spirituality, you know, like strong intuition, seeing things and understanding things on a deeper level than maybe a lot of people around you can. Ultimately, as you get older, you learn to come across as more stable, right? Like you learn to master your emotions. Even if you're naturally quite emotional, you manage to, you know, come across as like composed, even if maybe early on you struggle with that. And you will always find a lot of success from leaning into spirituality, from spending time alone, doing yoga by yourself, going to meditate. It will bring you a lot of benefit, you know, a lot of mental health will come from that. And you might be someone who also is quite drawn to helping people and maybe works in seclusion in like a monastery or a library, right? Who works at monasteries? Probably not people watching this video. But you might be working somewhere like secluded, removed from the world. And if you're not working in those situations, you will still kind of like enjoy being alone and being kind of separated from the world, I think. And a lot of times people who have the ruler of their first house in the 12th house find a lot of joy in travel, and they might actually move away from home and find success away from home. This is all I've got. Please subscribe to my channel, leave me a like and a comment, and I'll see you next time. Bye, guys.